What's up everyone, I'm Alex as always, and welcome back to the channel. For today, I have a very fun video for all of you because today we're predicting and speculating on what could be replacing the Mindbender at Galaxyland. Because the Mindbender has been torn down for almost a year now, and the ride's been closed itself for almost 4 years. So I think very soon we're gonna find out what's gonna be replacing it. But for now, no information has come out yet, so I thought, why not throw my ideas out there for what I think could be coming to the park? And yeah, maybe some of these ideas are true, who knows? Or maybe some of them are just ideas that are way far out there and are not going to be considerations for going into this space. But yeah, it's going to be fun to talk about what I think could be replacing the Mindbender. And then yeah, all of you can go in the comments afterwards and tell me your thoughts on what you think could be coming to the park, or some of my ideas you think those might be what replaces it. But anyways, before we get into these ideas, let me give a quick explanation of what the Mindbender is for those who don't know. So, of course, if you're a coaster enthusiast or if you live in Alberta, you most likely know what Mindbender is in Galaxyland. But basically, the Mindbender is, or it was, a really cool roller coaster in Galaxyland in the West Edmonton Mall, which is Canada's largest shopping mall, and Galaxyland is Canada's largest indoor amusement park. But basically, the Mindbender was this really cool coaster made by Schwarzkopf. It was a triple loop model, and I think it was only one of 3 or something that they made, or 1 of 3 left in the world or something. I forget exactly what. But it was this really cool coaster model. It's one of the most intense ones in the world. I think it ranked number 4 on the list. But yeah, there's a big chance you'd black out on this, especially going through those double loops. It was just so forceful. I think it was up to 4.6 Gs or something. I'll have the exact number on screen. But it was just a really intense roller coaster and was really the star attraction of Galaxyland. Unfortunately though, it closed during COVID. It shortly reopened after that for about 6 months until it closed for routine maintenance. But once it closed for maintenance, it's not sure exactly what happened. The mall hasn't really clarified. But what I assume is when they were doing maintenance on it, it revealed some issues about the ride. And there was just so much different things that I assume they had to fix about this. And the park ultimately just decided that it wasn't really worth it to try and fix all the issues with this ride. Is probably cheaper to just sell off this ride and get rid of it rather than to try and fix it. So that's of course what they did. It was in early 2023 they announced the permanent closure of the ride, which for me it wasn't a big surprise since I already expected this ride to close, because I got a message on my YouTube once that says an employee of the park confirmed that the ride would just be closing forever. So yeah, for me it wasn't a big surprise. I know a lot of people it was though. But yeah, of course 2023 they announced it closed. And then over 2023, they slowly removed more and more of the Mindbender until around mid-2024 when the space was completely gutted. And not only did they remove the Mindbender, but they also removed the 3D theater, which I don't think had been used in quite a while. They also removed the fun house and the haunted house, which I went through. They were alright. The haunted house was actually pretty good. But yeah, those of course were gutted too. So basically now there's this massive area inside Galaxyland there, which is prime real estate for some sort of new big expansion, because the park is already pretty small as it is and it has limited attractions. So yeah, it's not like you can go there and spend hours doing stuff. It's pretty much a park where it's like 2 hours and you're done. So yeah, if they can add some really cool attractions right here, it'll definitely make guests stay in the park longer, and it will probably even attract more guests to the park. I know me personally, it's been a while since I've actually bought tickets to like go on the rides at Galaxyland, but if they get a really good replacement here, I would definitely buy a day pass again, like actually hang out at Galaxyland for the day. But anyways, I assume very soon here in 2025, they're gonna be announcing what will be replacing the Mindbender. It'll probably be a good few years before we actually get a replacement, because I assume in 2025 they'll announce something. So maybe by late 2027 we'll get a new replacement in this area, which is still 3 years in the future. But yeah, today I just wanted to speculate on what will be filling this area. So anyways, let's of course get into this video. Starting off on my first prediction right here, which is my favorite prediction and something I really hope happens. So let's get into that. Alright, so prediction number 1 is of course that a new roller coaster will be filling in at least somewhat of the old Mindbender area. I feel like every good amusement park needs to have like a coaster for at least every type of audience. Like if you look at any amusement park in the world, at least most of them have at least one coaster for little kids, one coaster for like families, and then one coaster for thrill seekers. And the Mindbender was that coaster for thrill seekers. Now the park does have like the spinning coaster and the Kiddy coaster, which those two are more family ones, and then of course the dragging coaster, which is the little kid one. So I feel like for Galaxyland to reclaim their spot as like a park for everyone, they need to get some sort of new thrill coaster in here. And my idea for what that new coaster might be is something like Rock Bottom Plunge at the Mall of America. I know with 555, it's not uncommon to find similar rides across their 3 amusement parks. Like, you might go one amusement park and then go to the other and be like, oh, some of these rides look similar. So I think a ride model like this could be possible. They already have something like that at both of their other amusement parks, like that Rock Bottom Plunge one I mentioned, and of course the TMNT one over at American Dream. So I think it could be a possibility for them to bring one of these coasters to Galaxyland. But another reason why I think a coaster like this could be possible is because the space where the Mindbender was, it's not like you could fit your typical roller coaster in there. And what I mean by a typical roller coaster is, you know, your classic coaster, it has that long lift hill that goes off, and then usually the drop also takes up some room. But the thing with a coaster like this is it has that vertical lift hill and then the vertical drop. So you could easily fit this into a more compact space, which I think the mall will definitely look at fitting in some more compact rides into this area. So yeah, with a ride like this, they could easily put the tower to the eastern side of this area, and they could reach up to that highest point where the Mindbender originally dropped from. And then another thing about this coaster too is, like, they could either put this coaster so it takes up that whole area where the Mindbender was, or I feel like they could condense it to the northern side of that area, and it could sort of fill up the area on the north side of that bridge there. Now, it all depends how they design this, how compact they'd make it. But personally, I feel like a roller coaster like this would be a good idea for them because they need a new thrill coaster, you know? If they don't get a good enough replacement for the Mindbender, I assume they'll definitely get a lot of hate for it, and they'll definitely lose that older audience. So I feel like a coaster like this could be a very good possibility, but I guess time will tell if this actually happens or not. Anyways, moving on to the next prediction, which this one also feel pretty confident about, which is that a new kiddie ride will be replacing the Fun House and the Haunted House. Like, this area, I don't think they're going to put any new thrill rides in it. It's connected basically to all the kiddie rides, and it's not the largest area, so I have a big feeling that this will just simply become an expansion of that kiddie area. I guess they could fit like 2 little rides in here if they wanted, or they could fit like a little kiddie coaster or something. But I feel pretty confident that this area is just going to be part of the kiddie zone. Just going to get some new little kid rides and everything, which, yeah, I definitely assume that they're going to want to put in more kid rides, especially with the new Hasbro retheme. I know that they probably want to make the park a little bit more for kids. So yeah, it's hard to say what kiddie ride they put in here, just like any off-the-shelf carnival ride. I assume it won't be anything crazy, except it will, of course, have the Hasbro theme. But yeah, I feel pretty confident in saying that the Funhouse and Haunted House will become an expansion of the kiddie area. And of course, moving on to prediction 3. This one, I don't know if this is going to be true or not. It's just a random idea I had. But every time I look at this empty area, I think, what if that was a lake? Because, you know, it's just this big hole in the ground. So, like, they could easily just make this a lake. And then I thought, over at the Mall of America, they built this log flume ride. So I thought, like, maybe they'd put a log flume in here. And yeah, is that something they'd actually do? I don't know. They've done it before, so I thought maybe they'd do it again. Now, it would be weird to do that because it's inside a shopping mall. You don't want to go on this ride and then be wet for the next hour just walking around. I know it would be cool because they could make it like, oh, it's the world's tallest indoor log ride, or I don't know, it could have some world record like that, which could potentially draw more people into the park. This idea, not too sure on if it'll happen or not. Would be interesting if they made it a lake and a water ride, but this idea I think is the most unlikely one I have, but I don't know, it's just a random idea I had, so thought why not put it in the video. Moving on, the next idea here concerns the old area where the helix for the Mindbender was. There, of course, is this big pillar coming up from the ground, which over the years has housed a lot of different rides on it. Right now, it's just used for some of the supports for the Galaxy Orbiter. But yeah, I have a feeling that this pillar here will have to stay since it is used for the supports for that ride. So I don't think they could take this out, which is why I thought that if they don't have a new roller coaster that goes around this area, which, you know, that might not be what happens, I thought something else that they might do with this area is they could have it where it's a ride that goes in a circle around the pillar. And the ride I thought of when I thought of this idea of a ride just circling around that was the Slinky Dog ride at Disneyland Paris. Oh no, I just thought of this ride immediately because I know it'd have some sort of theming related to Hasbro. I know the Slinky Dog isn't Hasbro themed, but I thought if they were to add a ride like this, they could definitely theme it to something Hasbro related. And I know the park before has added 2 different versions of this ride, so I'm not sure if they'd add a third version of it. I feel like it could be a possibility though to see this because, you know, it's this like weird little area and it's really hard to work around it. But if they were to have a ride like this that just goes in a circle around it, it could work out very well. But you know, this idea I think could be a good possibility because, yeah, if they don't have a roller coaster that does some sort of turnaround or helix around this, it's a very hard area to fit in a new attraction unless they were to take out that pillar, which I think is very unlikely because the other coaster is supported by it. So I think an idea like this could be something interesting and, you know what, could very well be something that they do. And moving on, the final idea I have here, which this is probably the most unlikely one, but it's something I thought of, so I thought why not include it. But my last idea here is for a Ferris wheel. And why I thought about this is because, I don't know, just looking at that area, I feel like they could have a very big Ferris wheel that goes all the way up to the top of where the Mindbender was there. And it could be the world's tallest indoor Ferris wheel. Now, a couple issues with this is, if you're on this, there's not really anything to see. What they would have to do is they'd have to take off that entire eastern wall, and they'd have to replace that all with windows so you actually see outside. On the other side, you'd be able to see some of the park unless you're all the way up to the top where you wouldn't really be able to see much. They definitely have to add lots of windows around there if they were to do this. But I feel like it's very unlikely. But I don't know, it seemed like an interesting idea. It would be very weird to have an indoor Ferris wheel because the point of the Ferris wheel is to be outdoors, we can actually see stuff, but who knows, they could very well add this. Anyways, with all said, that right there was 5 of my predictions slash speculations for what could be replacing the Mindbender. To go over those ideas again, the first one was, of course, to have a new roller coaster there, one like Rock Bottom Plunge. My next idea was that a kiddie ride or multiple kiddie rides would be replacing the Funhouse and Haunted House. It'll just become some sort of expansion of the kiddie area, I assume. My next idea was to put a lake in there, which, I don't know, they could do that. I think it's unlikely. They could have the world's tallest indoor log ride, who knows. Another thing is that Slinky Dog ride idea. I don't know, it's just a weird area right there, which really the only thing that would work there is a coaster, but if they don't put a coaster there, I think something like this could be a possibility. Then, of course, the last idea, which is my most, like, I don't think this will happen idea, is, of course, the Ferris wheel. It would be interesting, but I don't know, it's not something personally I'd like to see, and I don't think it's something that they would do. Anyways, there is all my ideas. Hopefully, Galaxyland will announce soon what will be replacing it, because, you know, it's just been an empty space for so long, and it just doesn't seem worth it to buy a ticket for this amusement park just to go on a few rides. They need some sort of new thrill attraction here to draw in, like, people like myself who want to go there for the thrill rides. But anyways, I'll definitely have more updates whenever I'm in Edmonton again, which will probably be January, but I don't know. But also, Galaxyland or the West Edmonton Mall, if you're watching this, and if you haven't figured out what is going to be replacing it yet, and you want some ideas, just take some of these ideas from me. My main suggestion is that you add that Rock Bottom Plunge type coaster. This coaster would be awesome. It's a more compact design, and I feel like it would be a good addition to the park. But yeah, anyways, that of course is going to finish it for today's video. I'm of course back in here posting on the channel. Hopefully you enjoy all the new uploads. I know I've been off and on this channel over the past 3 years that I've been doing this. But yeah, throughout the rest of 2024 and all of 2025, I'll be here every week making new videos. And yeah, trying to grow this channel up to, I don't know, I need to set some goal for myself. Maybe like 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. Is that possible? Who knows? Put enough dedication into this, maybe. Anyways, that's going to finish it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy. Also, next time, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.